Yep, new month. Yep, new month. The theme for this month is imagine, so we can imagine all kinds of things. And today's talk is imagine peace. Imagine peace. And you know, it's been an interesting week for this to be the talk topic. It's been an interesting week of extremes, hasn't it? One way or the other. August 28th, right? Tens of thousands of people showed up on the mall in front of the Lincoln Memorial to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's speech, the I Have a Dream speech. Makes me cry just to think about it. And you know, lots of people stood up and spoke there, and they talked about the dream. They talked about the accomplishments that this country has made, and they also talked about how far we still have to go about, you know, providing civil rights for all human beings. And you know, President Obama stood there and in a beautiful, eloquent way paid homage to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and everything that the good Reverend stood for. Peace and nonviolence and unconditional love and stuff like that. All the stuff that we envision for a world that works for everybody. And Martin Luther King had said this in The Trumpet of Conscience. He said, we must move past indecision to action. We must find ways to speak for peace in Vietnam, insert your latest war, and for justice throughout the developing world, a world that borders on our doors. If we do not act, we shall surely be dragged down the long, dark, and shameful corridors of time, reserved for those who possess power without compassion, might without morality, and strength without sight. Wonderful words. And like I said, on this past 28th, lots of people stood out there in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and they paid a wonderful homage to a man, a most peaceful man. And yet, 3 days later, the president addressed the country to speak to the need to create yet another war, this time in Syria, to retaliate for something, for the events in that country, for something that had happened. So what happened in those 3 days? What happened to that dream? What happened to the idea of nonviolence and what a practice it is? What happened to what was being promoted just 3 days earlier? Peace, unconditional love, nonviolence. What happened to that dream in 3 days? Martin Luther King said in Dreams of a Better Tomorrow, he said this, world peace through nonviolent means is neither absurd nor unattainable. All other methods have failed. Thus, we must begin anew. Nonviolence is a good starting point. Those of us who believe in this method can be the voices of reason, sanity, and understanding amid the voices of violence, hatred, and emotion. We will set the mood of peace, out of which the system of peace will be built. War does not bring peace. It doesn't happen. It's just as absurd as parents who hit their children for hitting other kids. It doesn't work, never did, never will. The only thing it drives home to little kids is that little kids can't hit each other, but big people can hit little people. Big countries can hit little countries. We have to decide to wage peace. It is not a far-off goal. It is not a distant future. It is a daily practice. It is a daily practice. And the Buddhist nun Pema Chodron wrote a book called, where is it? Practicing Peace in the Times of War. Practicing Peace in Times of War. And the first sentence in the book is, war and peace begin in the hearts of individuals. War and peace begin in the hearts of individuals. We have a grand and glorious idea of what the world should be like, don't we? It should be loving, and it should be peaceful, and it should be tranquil, and it should be happy. We have a grand and glorious idea of what our lives should be. They should be easy, and they should be joyous, and they should be satisfying and successful, happy and tranquil, peaceful. That's the lives that we desire for ourselves. That's the lives we desire for others. And then what happens? Well, we drive to work. We drive to work and somebody cuts us off. Or we go into the office and we meet that coworker, that coworker. Or we deal with that hard to get along with family member who God only knows doesn't think the way we do. You see it get played out on the world stage right now with the Cheney sisters. Did you see that? It was amazing. Anyway. Those hard to get along with family members that just push our buttons. And what happens is all of those intentions we set, all of those wonderful ideas that we have about waking up in the morning and being at peace with all of humanity, they just go right out the window. Somebody cuts us off and we, flip them off in return. Hey, how you doing? We give them the old, wave. We wave to them only with one finger. We become hardened. We become hardened. There's a little place within us where we build a wall around those peaceful feelings. And we get stuck in our positions because that little wall that keeps everybody else out, it keeps us locked in too. And that wall that we build is the wall of protection around us. We become hardened. And we become hardened in our positions also. We become hardened to the belief that we're right, they're wrong. That's it. That's all there is to it. They're being a jerk. We're justified in our anger, in our resentment, in our hostility, in our thoughts of revenge. We become fundamentalists in our own minds, in our own little personal, the world as we are. We become stuck. And what we need to understand is if we want peace in the world, we have to have peace in our heads. That's the first place it has to start. We cannot go to war in our minds every day, and expect there to be peace in the world. Ernest Holmes said this in 365 Days of Science of Mind. He said, "In such degree as I know that the God in you is the God that is in me, I cannot seek to do you ill. It would be unthinkable, because all I could do would be to hurt myself. When all of the nations of the world see God incarnated in one another, we will no longer have use for weapons. We must stop believing that God is somewhere apart from us, or somewhere apart from the person or the situation that is still in bondage." Peace is our daily practice. It's not a far-off goal. It's not something the world will come to someday. It is our daily spiritual practice. And so where do we start? Where do we start? Pema Chodron in that book, Waging Peace? No, Experiencing Peace During War. She said this, she said, we must cultivate patience. I love that, cultivate patience. Because what happens? Someone comes to us and pushes a button we already have, all right, a family member, a coworker, the guy on the freeway with the woman in front of us in the line with the 27 coupons, all of them are expired. All of those experiences, right? They push a button we already have, and then what happens? We just get angry. We get upset. We get frustrated. We get agitated. We want to get even. That's a good one. I want to get even. There is this attack-defend mentality that we have. Attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, defend. Somebody attacks you. Somebody tells you your shoes are ugly, or you're late again, or whatever it happens to be, right? And what is our initial reaction? I'll have to defend myself. How dare you insult me? I have to defend myself. So cultivating patience, like Pema said, cultivating patience means we unplug right in that moment. Right at that moment, right between attack and defend, we unplug right there. And we lengthen that time. If we get disconnected, if we unplug from the attack-defend cycle, what happens? That gap grows, that gap right in between. And that's the patience that she's talking about. Cultivating patience helps us unplug. So instead of reacting to what just happened to us, we take that breath, we take that step. We cultivate patience right there. And it takes a certain fearlessness to practice that patience right then and there. It takes a certain fearlessness not to react, because that is our habit. That's our habit. And so it takes a certain type of courage to just allow the words to wash over us and not have that feeling of, I've got to defend myself, I have to justify, I have to attack back. We sit in what has just occurred, and we allow that gap to change us. Because here's what happens. We sit with the feelings that have come up in us. We sit with those feelings of anger or resentment or retaliation or revenge. We sit with those feelings and we feel how uncomfortable those feelings are in our bodies. But there's something beyond that. There's something else beyond that, because after we get through those feelings, we get to that soft place. We get to the place behind the wall that we have built. And that soft place is our heart. And that soft place is the peace of God. And we get there if we're fearless enough to sit with it. We get to the place that we have walled off, and we find that walling it off doesn't protect us from the outside. It imprisons us on the inside. So we get to that soft place. And every encounter then becomes an opportunity for us to grow. Every encounter that we have, every time someone insults us or attacks us verbally or whatever, every time that there is an encounter where we feel we must defend our position because we are right. We're right all the time. The other person is always wrong. God, I go through days like that, don't you? I'm just so right all the time. But when we step back and we allow it to just be what it is, when we allow that gap, when we allow that patience, when we allow the courage and the fearlessness of non-defense, then the miracle transforms us right there. Something else happens. We become soft in our heart. We soften that place within us. Those walls crumble a little bit more and a little bit more. And then we're starting to see something from the other's perspective. We start to see how life looks like from that other person's point of view. When we stop defending our own position, sometimes we can see the bigger picture. And what I know is one of the best ways to develop that patience, that fearlessness and that courage to sit with the feelings that we're uncomfortable with is to sit in meditation. It's one of the best ways, it's one of the best tools that we have in this practical spirituality of ours that can enable us to sit with the feelings of discomfort. Because aren't you uncomfortable when you first sit down to meditation? Or am I the only one? I have a million things to do every time I go to sit in meditation. I have a laundry list going on in my head about all of the other things I really need to be doing besides sitting in meditation, waiting for nothing to happen. That's what meditation is, right? Sitting, waiting for nothing to happen. So I know that there's a million other things I have to do, and then my mind starts doing that thing, right? I was at Albertsons, and I have to go to the dry cleaners, and I have to pick up we start going through that laundry list of stuff, and it's like, shut up. Well, sitting in meditation and allowing our own discomfort to rise up and to sit with that and do it anyway is the greatest practice we have for developing that patience and that courage and that fearlessness to be undefended with other people. Meditating allows us to draw out those moments between the agitation and the reaction. And so that gap can be longer and longer and wider, and it expands. And we sit with the feelings of discomfort without feeling the need to defend. And the more we do it, the more we become comfortable with it. And so because this is a spirituality that is practical, we have tools like this, like meditation, to help us practice peace, practice love, practice harmony, practice unity. Because what we know is that all the change that happens within us first. When we see things showing up in the world around us, that is the last link in the chain of manifestation. It is the last place where our consciousness shows up is in the world around us, in the physical world. The change has to happen in our minds first. So this practical spirituality offers us tools to change our mind first. Everything begins in consciousness, everything. Deepak Chopra came up with 7 practices for peace, and I thought it was wonderful. He posted them on BeliefNet. And so I thought, this would be the perfect week to do this. We're in the month of Imagine. We've started off with Imagine Peace, and he came up with 7 ways to practice peace. And so this allows us, we are the peacemakers of the world, it allows us to follow a specific practice, one a day for 7 days. So starting today, you'll end on Saturday, and then next week it'll be Imagine something else. See how well that works? I love it. So today is being for peace. And what he says is take 5 minutes to meditate peace. Put your attention in your heart and inwardly repeat these 4 words. Peace, harmony, laughter, love. Peace, harmony, laughter, love. 5-minute meditation today, whenever you feel like it. You can do it more than once. You're allowed. Monday's practice, thinking for peace. Thinking has the power when it is backed by intention. So on Monday, thinking for peace means be aware of your thoughts. Take a few moments in the silence on Monday and repeat the ancient prayer. Let me be loved. Let me be happy. Let me be peaceful. Let my friends be happy, loved, and peaceful. Let my perceived enemies be happy, loved, and peaceful. Let all beings everywhere be happy, loved, and peaceful. Let the whole world experience these things. Do it as many times as you like. It is just retraining our thoughts. On Tuesday we'll be feeling for peace. This practice is to feel, just feel. And when someone comes into your mind or maybe into your vision, just feel that person. Feel peace for them. Know that person is just like me. I know this person is just like me. I know this person has experienced sadness, sorrow, joy, despair, hope, fear, and love. Just like me, this person has people in his or her life that cares very deeply for them. Like me, this person's life is impermanent and will one day end. This person's peace is as important as my peace. I want peace, harmony, laughter, and love in their life as well as in mine. So it's feeling for peace on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we'll be speaking for peace. Wednesday, every word I utter will be chosen consciously. On Wednesday, I will give up complaining. I will be so silent on Wednesday. I will refrain from complaining, from condemnation and criticism. I will just go to retreat. Wednesday will be very quiet around here. On Wednesday, I will only say words of goodness and gladness and thanksgiving. I will be speaking peace in every word I say on Wednesday. You going to join me? Expressing gratitude for those who love us. Offering healing or nurturing words for anybody around us. Showing respect to someone or something. Finding how many times you are on the verge of saying something critical or unkind and refraining from doing so. Like I said, a quiet day. Choosing not to speak and being silent, and then waiting to speak until you are centered and peaceful and positive. Wow. Thursday is acting for peace. Thursday is the day we help someone in need. We do something practical. We take food to someone. We call somebody. We send a card. We bring a smile to a stranger's face. We act in a way that is helpful to someone. We respond with a gesture of loving kindness wherever it's needed. We send an anonymous gift to someone, whatever it is. We offer assistance or we help without the expectation of gratitude or even recognition. We just act for peace. And on Friday, creating peace. This gets all of our juices flowing. We are going to have one creative idea that we can use in the future to resolve conflict. One creative idea that we can come up with that can create a healing, perhaps in a family relationship or in a neighborhood. One idea that we can put into action to create a more peaceful environment for ourselves. And Saturday, sharing for peace. We are the peacemakers of the world. Saturday is our day to share our practice of peacemaking and all of the ways that we practice peace in our own lives with someone else. Find someone who maybe really needs a peaceful practice and share with them what we do. The more people that participate in practicing peace on a daily basis, the faster and the easier we reach critical mass. And then peace becomes the norm. Peace just becomes the way we deal with each other. So Saturday, sharing for peace. Connect with someone, anyone, who can benefit by your peaceful practice and share it with them. And I don't mean like hold it down and force it on them, you know what I mean? Because that's not really very peaceful. But you know who they are, and you know that they need the wisdom of practicing peace on a daily basis, so practice with them. Share your experience of the growing peace practice that you have within you. Share your gratitude with someone who is as serious about peace as you are. Share your ideas for helping the world by changing your little corner of it. And whatever you can in small ways and large, assist someone else who wants to be the peacemaker that you are. Ernest Holmes said this in a Reader for Change. He said, "Peace stands at the door of our consciousness and awaits our acceptance of it. However, it does not stand outside our door waiting for entrance, so much as it stands inside of us waiting to be expressed in everything we do. If the possibility of peace were dependent on some external event, some outside circumstance, some objective fact, then you would not have a principle of peace. The principle of peace is within us. It is a quality of God, just like abundance and beauty and balance and order and harmony. Peace is a quality of God, and it is us. It is us because we are the vessel that Spirit is expressing through. These temporary little, skin sacks that we've borrowed are just vessels through which Spirit is expressing. And Spirit is expressing through us in all of the ways that it can. Love and joy, abundance and harmony, power and peace, wisdom and wholeness, unity, love, joy, order, all of those qualities. Spirit is using us to demonstrate those qualities in the world. So imagine peace? Yeah, we can imagine peace. And we can be peace. And we can practice peace. And we can share peace. And we can create peace. We can act for peace. We can speak peace. We can feel peace. We can think peace. And more importantly, we can be peace. We can be the peace of God on earth right now. It is our spiritual practice. And we can change the world. Thank you so much.